This video is sponsored by Whoop.
This is pretty much almost 2 weeks later using the phone. I've dropped it quite a bit, to be honest with you guys. It's looking pretty good. I've got some scuffs on it, but oh man, do I love this thing.
Look, I love Apple and I genuinely love iPhone and I absolutely adore MacBooks. I think they are the best laptops in the world at the moment. But I love innovation and just tech in general more. Like so much that it brought me to this. A phone that I thought was the biggest gimmick a few years ago. Realistically, I thought this would never happen. The odds of me dumping my iPhone for then an Android phone like a Pixel or the S25 Ultra to a foldable is kind of wild. But I'm going to explain how and why this happened. Point out one major downside to switching, it's definitely the amount of money it takes to get to this point. Like, I recognize that, to be honest. The main flaw about my new daily is the price tag. It is like really expensive. It's really hard to defend, especially since this here comes with no case, no S Pen, no charging brick. I feel like at that price it should have it all, right? That's like the whole point of going premium, no? Aside from that, you know how I've mentioned in the past that going from the S24 Ultra to the S25 Ultra wasn't really worth it? The upgrade between the previous generation of this phone and this new one is absolutely night and day. And it definitely took a week or so for me to realize this. I sometimes feel like I get like so caught up on megapixels and cameras that it blindsides me sometimes. The point of this phone is usability. It's to be a phone first. And I realized this for the first time when I gave it to my girlfriend's friend and she was like absolutely mesmerized with this whole thing. Like she absolutely loved doing that. Like when she realized that this phone actually opens, she freaked out because at first glance, nobody can tell this is a foldable. The cover screen with its aspect ratio is finally perfect, and it's not like the Fold 6, which was like very chunky. So people really can't tell this is a foldable device, and they absolutely love that until I tell them the price tag, of course. What I'm trying to get at is that when you hold this phone and you use it with one hand, you play with the cover screen, you open it up, scroll timelines and the news, or just use the special camera feature to take a selfie, the whole thing just makes so much goddamn sense. This is a true phone, and it's so mesmerizing that people quickly forget about their iPhones and like the entire Apple ecosystem, which says a lot, right? It says a lot about the current state of foldable phones. Really, this is all about what this design enables, how the hardware works seamlessly together, and most importantly, what I think is the secret sauce, the software that now delivers an experience the iPhone just can't match. But why did I switch? Like, why did I switch from the 13 Pro Max back then to the S22 Ultra? The major reason is that I felt like I was so locked in. I felt like the ecosystem had just trapped me. macOS, iOS, iPadOS, AirPods, watchOS. That's all I knew, and yes, it all works so elegantly. In fact, it works so well that you don't really want to give anything else a try. If I went from my MacBook to a Windows PC, all of a sudden I felt super disconnected. My pictures were only accessible through iCloud. My notes as well, if I wanted to transfer files, I was dependent on AirDrop. Then messages and FaceTime was like super hard to leave. Plus, the Apple Watch became the only smart wearable I was interested in. In fact, it got to the point that I was so invested into that ecosystem that I didn't want to try anything else that was not Apple, which is a problem. And then little by little, I saw it coming with the iPhone 11 Pro Max or the iPhone 12 Pro Max starting looking just alike. And then the 13 Pro Max looking the same as the previous generation, with leaks of the 14 Pro Max pretty much looking the same as its predecessor. I was like starting to see iPhone sort of slowing down, and iOS too. I mean, like every year you would get minor tweaks and minor upgrades. I just felt like every year as a tech YouTuber, I was just spending money on minor upgrades, a slightly upgraded OS for just like more money. So I decided to give my S22 Ultra a proper try and slowly alternate between releases until I fully stuck to Samsung. Since I feel like I can try literally any new pair of headphones, like wearables, different Android phones, any Windows PC or MacBook laptop, like I feel like I am able to try more tech than ever before. Like this, for example, this right here. I've been using this for the past like 9 months, I want to say. This year's the Whoop Band. I do come from the 4.0 and now I'm on the latest Whoop MG. And honestly, the hardware of it is like super solid. It's a little smaller than the last version, way lighter on the wrist, and the new sensor feels way more accurate. The strap system is comfortable too. I barely notice it, it's there. And it works with the Whoop body clothing if you want to wear it off the wrist. The battery pack is still wireless, so charging is way less of a hassle. Sleeping with it has also been great, a tad better with the MG. Like I said, I'm actually almost 9 months into Whoop as a whole. I did realize I've been getting a bit more than 14 days of charge, which is really nice to see. And since I never take it off because I can charge it while it's on me or sleep with it without annoying me, I get super consistent data. Now the compound effect of that data is magical. My health span gives me a single score made up of metrics like HRV, sleep, activity load, body composition all combined into one number that reflects how well I'm aging over time. Like you can literally see your weekly changes or your monthly changes within a month-to-month trend. Since I started using this, my pace of aging has been about 1 to 1x, which is pretty good. My body is aging like it's gone through 13 months instead of 12. And the whole app is honestly really good at showcasing all the different data you'd want to take a look at to lower that number, whether it's the health monitor, the stress monitor, tracking your sleep or your strain. I think for consistency, this might just be the clearest way to actually see how your daily habits compound into long-term health, which is why I personally think this is like the best Android accessory I have at the moment with me. With this, it did take a few months for me to adapt to what Android has to offer and all this new lifestyle I was sort of living, because the reality of things is that switching from iOS to Android is kind of like moving from a well-furnished apartment where you didn't really have to do anything to a big house where you pretty much have to furnish it yourself and set it up yourself. Depending on the Android skin, the settings menu can feel like a maze. Google Pixel makes the most intuitive settings menu in my opinion, but it gets more complex with One UI, Color OS, and so on. On iOS, most settings feel streamlined and predictable, and in short, on Android there's a setting for everything, really. From that, it's important to know that apps behave differently as well. Some apps look and feel better on Android, others clearly get more love on iOS. You'll notice it within subtle differences in the UI and even performance. Also, for most people coming from iOS, Android gestures actually feel more natural and versatile once you get used to them. You've got that back gesture everywhere, and on most Android phones, gestures work the same in almost every app. Some Android skins add cool extras like swipe down on the home screen to open notifications or double tap to lock the phone. And then you even have customizable gestures you can preset with third-party apps that allows you to add specific actions. On top of all of this, okay, notifications do hit different. You have a lot more control over your notifications, so you can customize them however you'd like. It can get daunting, but once you figure it out, it becomes like really powerful. And then you need to adapt to an entire whole new ecosystem, like no AirDrop, no iMessage, no FaceTime, no iCloud photos. Honestly, replacing those with alternatives does take time. In fact, it took me actually 3 years 3 full years. Although with RCS now you get a very similar experience in texting between iPhone and Android phones, what RCS gets right are things such as rich features like read receipts, typing indicators, high resolution media, and improved group chats. Apple introduced RCS support with iOS 18 in September 2024, so if you have iOS 18 and up, chances are you've already got RCS. And I recognize it, guys. I know that the main issue here is the ecosystem. Like, you can no longer text from your laptop with your phone. However, for those who saw my latest video with the MacBook, you know a lot of this stuff can be replaced. Is it easy? Yes. Is it seamless? Sometimes, but you can 100% use Google Messages within your laptops to text people from your phone. Plus, when it comes to AirDrop, you've got the choice of either using local send or Blip. I've just recently discovered Blip thanks to you guys, and it works really well. As long as you have an internet connection, of course, but you can transfer files between iOS, Android, iPadOS, Linux, macOS, and Windows without a hiccup. The downside of this compared to AirDrop is that, well, if you're ever within a plane without a network connection, you're pretty much screwed. Like always though, remember that if you hotspot your laptop with your phone, you can still use this trick to transfer files over the network, since technically you're still on the same network. And then for all my photos, I've decided to use Google Photos. The app is available within macOS and allows me to store all my photos within one single platform and access them all through my computers or any phone I pretty much decide to use. If you have all your photos saved within your iCloud, Apple do offer a transfer tool to transfer everything to Google Photos. Trust me, it all works well because the fact that I can take a picture with my phone, right? And then save it to the library, access it through my MacBook, download it, and even send it by Google Messages within my laptop makes me feel like I have a complete ecosystem even though I'm using 2 different brands. Then, your universal clipboard becomes an app called KDE Connect. Works really well across any device you connect to. It delivers nearly the same experience Apple envisioned for its own ecosystem. Your notes now become Google Keep. Your cross-emailing platform can be something like Superhuman, an emailing app that works really well across platforms. Safari becomes Google Chrome, saves all your history, passwords, and more across all your devices. And FaceTime, well, I know it becomes some sort of a stretch, but you can use Google Meet or WhatsApp, which is what I like to use the most. I use WhatsApp like all the time because, to be honest, within a large pool of people, the odds of one person having a different phone is quite huge. Like, I've been finding myself recently starting WhatsApp groups, and even my friends or my social circle sort of using WhatsApp, just because there's always a few oddballs with Samsung phones or Android phones. And so recently I've actually been finding myself communicating a lot more on WhatsApp. And to be honest, it's how I communicate with a lot of other people, including through video calls. To be fair, it took me about 3 years to fully come up with this entire new ecosystem. I learned how to use Android to its fullest potential in the past 3 years, I want to say, with different iterations of the Galaxy Ultra, the Pixel, some other phones from brands like Vivo, Oppo, OnePlus, and so on. And I was able to come up with ways I can use my G14, my custom PC, and my MacBook without a hassle. Now, in North America, I truly think that the best Android phones come from Samsung. And before the Fold came out, I told you all that the S25 Ultra for me was the best phone in 2025. Because aside from its hardware, the best thing about it is the software. I've seen how One UI has evolved in 3 years, and honestly, I absolutely love the changes they keep making to it. Aside from the minor bugs I've had with One UI, honestly, it completely sort of bricked my battery within my S25 Ultra, but I'm sort of back to normal. Aside from that, aside from those minor little things, I find it impressive how Samsung managed to take an exceptional software, in my opinion, and developed an even better foldable in terms of hardware. Has genuinely made me rethink my decision. So much that I've been so conflicted. I've asked you guys in polls what you guys want to see more of, and the majority of you guys even answer Z Fold 7. Look, this being what I like to call a proper phone has changed my daily workflow, from texting using the cover screen to unfolding it for emails, Netflix, YouTube, and then multitasking using Notion and then an app like Google Keep, but then enjoying big crispy timelines by using X, Reddit, Instagram. The phone is just so good at being a phone. And not only in this manner, but also the size in my hand, okay, without like me looking at a spec sheet, it feels smaller, slimmer, thinner than the S25 Ultra, which I love because I do enjoy smaller phones. It's a phone I can easily text on with one hand, plus when you mix it with tools One UI 8 delivers, like good luck, the usability is genuinely insane. It's also smooth, so it's comfortable to handle, and then once you open it up, it becomes like this full tablet with proper displays in and out that look fantastic. Honestly, they genuinely just are incredible. Now, it's not perfect. There are things that I dislike. Like, I genuinely think we could have gotten a bigger battery in here. Yes, it charges decently fast. I think in about 30 minutes, if I recall, you can get like a 50% charge. And in about an hour and 15 minutes, you can get that 100% charge you're looking for. With my workflow, plus brightness often at full, Meta app running in the background with my Whoop app, KDE Connect running in the background as well, using Android Auto constantly, emails, Chrome, YouTube, Instagram, X, TikTok, writing emails, using the camera, and so on, okay? All these things together, I get between 10 to 12 hours of battery life a day. It's really good, don't get me wrong, but it could have been so much better, which I feel like they missed out on. Also, the S Pen, they missed out on that, which I don't understand because you literally have a phone that feels like a tablet. Another thing is face unlock. It's kind of slow. In fact, I actually removed it because it's just sluggish. I do like the way I set up the fingerprint sensor though, and it's really fast. Check this out. This is how I registered my fingerprints to unlock the phone, with the middle finger. That's cool. And then with the index, that's cool. And then with the thumb, if I'm holding the phone like this. So that's pretty cool. The speakers, they aren't as good. I feel like they are missing a bit of bass, so the audio quality doesn't totally match the screen quality, especially when it's unfolded. It's like it's missing that rich, full experience, you know? And of course, you'll run into some bugs when you change from the cover to the main screen, as some apps still yet have to adapt to these new aspect ratios. It happens, but not often. Now, the one thing I do want to talk about are the cameras. I don't want to lose you here, so just follow along with me. Look, I'm someone who's used the Galaxy Ultra cameras a lot in my everyday life over the past few years. I don't use another phone. Samsung is literally what I capture all my memories with 90% of the time when I'm not reviewing another phone. Plus, most of the time, I also get to compare with Jan, who's been using a Pro Max for as long as I can remember. For video, till this day, Apple is just able to do it better. Of course, it makes sense since they are the ones who design their chips and create the camera software that goes with those chips. And for most people who use their phones to capture memories, for the most part, those people just don't care about lighting or composition and all the things that can make a video great. They literally just care about being able to take out their phone and have the best image quality possible, as well as clarity. And I find Samsung always lacks in this aspect because they are quite behind when it comes to handling complex scenes with like weird lighting and dark rooms. I just feel like iPhone definitely does it better. When the lighting is perfect, iPhone can look better, but the zoom definitely is not as good as what a phone like the S25 Ultra offers. In photos, some days I wake up saying the S25 Ultra is better, and others I like to say the iPhone is better. But what I do know for sure is that I like the moodiness the iPhone delivers, which cannot be replicated. I mentioned this a couple of videos ago, how the iPhone delivers sort of this moodiness to pictures that we've been seeing quite a lot on Instagram lately. That mood, the colors, and the clarity the iPhone delivers, it cannot be replicated with a Samsung. Trust me, I've tried. Apple has this like weird formula going on that makes the pictures just look like if Batman were to take them. Now, why am I talking so much about the cameras? Why am I putting such a big emphasis on them? Well, the truth is that a lot of that gets sort of lost with the Fold. The main sensor the Z Fold 7 has, although it comes from the S25 Ultra, and don't get me wrong, it truly shows, the rest of the lenses just don't, and they honestly aren't the best. They aren't bad, but you do need to make sure lighting is good to get a proper picture. Video to capture memories is also not the best, especially at night. I find that the video quality that comes out of this phone only performs well when taken with the main lens during the day. So no, don't expect this to handle weird lighting. Just expect it to do like really good at straight daylight at 1x. And so for me, to be able to go all the way from the iPhone to the Z Fold meant that I needed to give up the camera systems, right? I needed to give up those camera systems, which I've realized that I'm totally fine with, because up until recently, when I started using this phone, it made me realize that this is a phone. It feels like a real phone, and it's been the only phone in the past recent years that have made me feel like I've been just using a phone. A phone that still allows me to, of course, capture memories. It still outputs really good photos, whether they are raw or not, and surprisingly outputs log video, which is a plus in my book. And although not perfect in that department, I've come to realize that what I should be having in my pocket is more of a phone and less of a camera, which is what the Z Fold 7 is able to deliver compared to the iPhone in 2025.